Well, this is a very good dimension to actually discuss because a lot of things is happening in education that is not going out right. And some of them we see it as a systemic failure, systemic inefficiencies and negligence by stakeholders. And Kotich have come up with something we call SINs in education. And what we mean by SINs, we're looking at systemic inefficiency and negligence in stakeholding. So we have a lot of stakeholders. We have the parents, we have the teachers, we have the learners, we have the non-academic staff, we have the school management, we have the school owners, we have the government, and we also have the society. These are the stakeholders in education. And because of their stakeholding capacity and capability, we look at the sins that they commit that is actually affecting the outcome in education. So when we talk about these stakeholders, the best to start with is the parents. What are the sins that are committed by parents in education? Don't forget when we say sins, we're talking about systemic inefficiency and negligence in stakeholding. That is the word that gave us the acronym SINS. So when we talk about parents, the first one is neglect. In fact, some parents, without even taking their children to school, they carry out this negligence in training their children. So don't forget that in a school system, we have children from different backgrounds coming into a confined environment. So you expect a whole lot of things. And if you're a very observant teacher or you're someone in the school system, you can actually reflect on what these children bring based on those who are raising them. So parents need to watch how they neglect their role as parents. They need to train their children. If they don't do that, they are committing sins that is affecting the entire system. Now, the second one is lack of communication with children. A lot of parents don't communicate with their children for reasons I can't even tell. It's a sin. How can you neglect communication? This is a situation whereby your child reacts and complains to certain things that is happening around them. So it's important to create that communication between yourself and your children or your child. Is very, very important. If you're not doing that, you're actually committing sin that is affecting the entire system. The third one is failure to instill discipline and routines. As a parent, it is important to establish measures, create boundaries that will help your child to differentiate between good and bad. If you're not doing that as a parent, you're not getting it right. You're actually committing sins and you need to change your ways. You need to repent from it. So you also create routines. The routines are the foundations to create discipline. So if you do these things, you will help your child or your children to do better. Okay. Now, the other thing that is number four is ignoring children's mental health needs. A lot of parents, even when we have schools like Teach Edu Consult, always encourage schools to do their normal things and close schools at the right time and not to extend classes in the name of extra classes. When there is need for a particular child or set of children, and that is based on subjects, then you can create lessons for them. But a situation whereby you extend normal classes to close by 5 or thereabouts is actually a sin. Most of the schools that, align with the right thing, children need to close, get home, refresh, have their siesta, probably an hour, and then jump into their home phones and other activities that need to be done at home. It's the right thing. So for those parents that still take their children for extra lessons, then they are not actually helping those children. They're actually committing sins. And parents, watch out for this sin. Okay. And number five is overemphasis on grades, not learning. Now, Kotich Edu Consult always talk about understanding different from knowledge. So if a child understands a concept, that child have already gotten the knowledge, because if you stop at knowledge, then application of the knowledge, which has to do with understanding, is a problem. So try to know what your child knows. Try to understand what your child, have comprehended and see how that can be applied, and not just about the grades. The grades are numbers, and the numbers don't actually give your child the skills that the child requires to strive in the real world. Okay. Number six is comparing your child to other children. A lot of parents constantly do this. It might be within the family or outside the family, but then you should know and understand your child limit. So if you understand your child, you try to do what we call pull in Kotichedu Konzo, we call it pull. Pull your child to a certain level and not just push. When you push, there is every tendency for the child to fall. So it requires a certain level of skill for you to do the pushing. Else, do the pull. By the time you pull, the child will come to you or get to where you want the child to be. So if for any reason the child tries to fall, you're already there to catch the child. It's a skill that you need to understand. So if you're not doing that and you just keep comparing in empty space, you're actually committing a sin. Okay. Now the seventh one is setting unrealistic expectations. This has something to do with also, comparison. You know your child and you know what your child can do. When we say unrealistic, it means that you set goals that are too high to be achieved. Yes, we always say aim for the stars so that when you meet, you land on the moon, right? Now, certain parents don't even aim the sky, they aim beyond the stars. And when they aim beyond the stars, it's unachievable. And when a goal is practically unrealistic, the zeal to achieve the goals dies immediately because you see that, oh, you can't achieve this. You can't expect someone who is into athletics to run 100 meters in 6 seconds, in seven. It has never been done before. So when you set goals that are realistic. Okay. Then the next one, which is the eighth one, is disregarding teachers' feedback or certain suggestions that they give. Sometimes we'll feel that, oh, the teacher is just there to teach. There are feedback that teachers give that you need to work on. If you're not working on those feedback because they've taken out their time to give you this feedback and suggestions that will help your child to grow. So if you're not following that, you're actually committing a sin. Don't forget systemic inefficiencies and negligence in stakeholding. So if you are committing these things, then you have to, change your ways and get it right. Number nine is failure to foster critical thinking. Sometimes as parents, we claim we're busy and we don't want distraction from our children. So we end up giving them access to screen time, watch cartoons, and do other things. Some even spend their time on social media. This is another dimension to even talk about because when you allow your children to get this dopamine, it's dopamine they're actually getting because that excitement is, the flow of dopamine. Dopamine is a hormone that once you're getting it, you want to keep getting it and over. So once you're out of that dopamine, secretion, you tend to lose focus. You're not excited anymore. So create critical thinking activities that will help them to learn, not just to get dopamine from screen or from social media. Okay. Now the 10th one, which is also very important, is poor role modeling of lifelong learning habits. Some parents will say, okay, now after this you're done. After this you're done. You need to help them understand that learning is a continuous process. They need to keep learning and not just, the cognitive. There are so many things in the psychomotor. There's something to learn. So you help your children to get these things right. If you're not doing that, then you are committing sins. Like I said at the beginning, there are so many sins that are committed by parents. But let's look at this top 10 and reflect on it. If there is anything that you see yourself doing that is not helping your child or children to learn more, to do better in the academics, then you have to change your ways, repent from it. If you feel there is something that's supposed to make in the top 10 list and is not mentioned, please drop it in the comment section and we'll look at it and definitely will respond.